What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what's really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid went up 1.93%, 2191 the low, 2279 the high, and fairly low volume. But then again, I've been saying that almost every single day. So I think Lucid's just getting less and less attention from large institutions, but 10.7 is the average. So a little bit, again, something to be aware of. If, let's say, shorts had a little bit more additional shares to short, because right now at the time of doing this video, there's only about 220,000 shares available to be shorted. So short's been kind of pinched for a very long time. And this is why shorts haven't really been doing all that much. Even at the time of doing this video, shorts are increasing 133,000 shares. So again, if, let's say, there was a lot more available shares, then I think they would be causing a little bit more havoc among with the stock price, because with lower volume, shorts can do a lot of damage, but luckily enough, there's not that much in available shares. So 30.52% of the free floats being shorted works out to be 38.28 million shares overall being shorted. As I've indicated and mentioned in the past, 2 times per month, NASDAQ does disclose a true amount of shares being shorted. So we should know at 4 p.m. as well what shorts have truly done over the last kind of 2 weeks, and if, let's say, a lot of that was being done on the dark pool and so forth. So again, if there's a big change, I'll do a PM video just to go over that. But today there hasn't been any news from Lucid, no SEC filings, no macro data points. So in reality, there's 2 things that is moving Lucid. One is a new analyst rating or an upgrade. So you did have Andre Shepard with Cantor Fitzgerald raising his price target from, I believe it was $20 to $26. And so in my opinion, I'm not really a big fan of Andre Shepard. Like I've kind of complained about in the past, almost every 2 weeks he does reiterate. So I think he's just more of a hype analyst, although he does have 53% success rating. So that's pretty good stuff. But nonetheless, I don't really see much credibility with him. If another analyst from a lot of the other bigger names, such as Morgan Stanley or Bank of America, if they were to be a little bit more bullish, then I could kind of jump on board. But Andre Shepard, you might as well just get a McDonald's worker if you ask me. But nothing against McDonald's workers on a side note. But one additional thing that is really pushing Lucid higher was a new interview with Marc. So very well done. It's short and sweet. Roughly, I think it's like 10, 11 minutes long. And so ultimately, a lot of people seem to be very, very pumped up and excited about this. I, on the other hand, it's okay. I think there's a couple of key takeaways. Marc did double down and say, hey, we're not going to China. So I think generally we knew that from a lot of articles that have been coming out. The whole Chinese market is absolutely just cutthroat. And I don't think Lucid at this stage in the game has what it takes to enter that market and succeed. I think they would just burn a lot of cash. So smart on Lucid to actually change that, because I think they've, ever since 2021, they've mentioned that we will be going there. I think originally it was like 2025. And then in 2023, they kind of mentioned that, hey, we might be going to China. And then we haven't really heard anything since then. The only additional thing that I wanted to bring up that was relatively new information was that they are actually going to be extending that $7,500 tax credit up until the end of the year. That is something that Lucid is doing themselves. So that's going to be out of their own pocket. So I'm kind of torn. That's good customer service, should really drive up additional kind of sales, but at the same time, that means that they're going to be losing $7,500 on every single Gravity that is sold. So it's kind of, it is what it is. Some people might say that's not a big deal. I think that you don't get towards profitability by just giving more and more discounts. So again, it is what it is. That's kind of the 2 things that stood out to me from this interview. So definitely recommend a lot of people to kind of watch that. Aside from that, looking at the options, 1.1 million in calls, 229,000 in puts. So definitely a little bit higher for the volume today, which is good. 67% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. And from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 2250 to $23 range. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 22. So definitely good to see. A lot more upside is anticipated. Yesterday overall showed a lot of good strength up until Powell spoke. Then that's where all hell kind of broke loose and things started just to kind of get dragged down. But luckily enough, today's push higher is getting it above this key point, so that 50-day moving average. And this is something I've stated time and time again is a massive deal for Lucid. So yesterday it was had a high of 23.93, but unfortunately did get dragged down a little bit. So today does mark the first day above that 50-day moving average. So in general, you need 2 consecutive days for it to kind of be a true signal. So for tomorrow, that's going to be a big day. So 2260 is that 50-day moving average. So again, just really watch for Lucid to close above that today, and then as well tomorrow. And then you do also have this 100-day moving average at 2298. It hasn't been tested so far today, but given the momentum that's behind Lucid today, I could definitely see that being on the table. But nonetheless, I think just generally, as I brought up, even looking at the market position right over here, like Lucid could easily move up. All you need is a nice gentle push higher. And it's rather unfortunate that Lucid starts to gain all this momentum and wanting to get above that 50-day moving average when the market is crap. So again, largely the market's kind of fearful about what Powell said. Lucid seems to be inverse to the broader market. So I think that's one thing that's interesting about Lucid, but nonetheless, as you can kind of see from this flow, most of that volume being done today is actually linked to algorithmic trading. So again, nothing really wrong with that. I think Lucid's gaining some pretty good momentum, and as long as they can actually get above that 50-day moving average, then historically that does result in like a 30% swing. So that should make for a very interesting next couple trading days. And then aside from that, just a couple of key points to watch for. With it at 2284, it is trading right now between these 2 points. So this R3 and this R2. In fact, it's actually touching and flirting with this R3. So 2284 alongside 2260, 2 elements to really watch for. In best case scenario, it closes above both. Then if so, then you could see easily that 2514 being on the table. And then as what I even brought up in my video yesterday, Elliott Wave Technicals is actually projecting for Lucid to be at that $27 range. So I think big things are coming. So let me know your viewpoint on this analyst rating. Are you jumping up and down about it, or what's your kind of general thoughts? Most likely the next rush of analyst ratings that we will get will be because of Lucid's Q3 numbers. And from what we can see from the latest flyover, it should be fairly good if you ask me. So I think that will be coming out probably the first week of October. So just stay tuned for that. And for those of you that did miss my video yesterday, this is the Elliott Wave Technicals. So again, it's kind of signaling between that 25.49 and 27. So going back over here, right above this R3 for the most part is kind of on the lower end. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing, if you are looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, pop over to my Patreon. I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.